And with that, we welcome in Aditi Kinkhabwala to the show, who was on the call for the Browns and Bengals game this Sunday.
Aditi, by the way, next time you have the Bengals, I don't know when that is, could you ask Zach Taylor if he's purposely sabotaging the most talented offense in the league? Or is he just that incompetent?
You're not giving the Browns defense any credit?
No, I give them some credit. It's not just about this past game. It's in general. He coaches Joe Burrow like he's the worst quarterback in the league sometimes, the way he plays conservative. He plays, Aditi, he never goes for the kill late in games. He plays too conservatively at the end of games. It cost him the Baltimore game. He cost him the bad snap, yes, with Evan McPherson, okay. He cost him that game with his conservative play calling. He is not a good play caller. And
all right.
Joe Burrow, and he would have been fired. He'd be fired by any other organization, but Mike Brown's, as usual, asleep at the wheel, and they're going to waste Joe Burrow's career. They're not going to re-sign Higgins. They may let Chase go, and then they're screwed. So go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Is the rant over?
Yes.
Is that, I mean, really, like, it's sort of crazy that your team has righted its ship. Its defense has gotten healthy. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are where you want them to be. T. Higgins being healthy, Jamar Chase is in the right space. You have one of 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that gives you a chance to win any one game. This team could now rattle off 11 straight wins, 10 straight wins at this point. And you are talking in a room full of Browns fans who have every right to feel unhinged, and yet you are the one that wants to be talked off the ledge.
I don't need to
talk to this man. Talk to him.
I don't need to be talked off the ledge at all. And Browns fans, you can't talk Browns fans off the ledge because the season's over. But Zach Taylor is unquestionably
really? I mean, last year,
coach.
didn't people think the season was over, and then Joe Flacco came in and did all sorts of magical things?
Aditi,
Look, I am not. I don't want Myles Garrett yelling at me. So I am not one of those people that is ever saying an injury is a good thing. Yeah. Seeing Deshaun Watson cry, no matter what is in Deshaun Watson's past, no matter who you think Deshaun Watson is, you have to be completely lacking in empathy if you don't see a man crying and not feel sorry in some way. So it was. I mean, I was standing right there. It was brutal the way his leg just. Non-contact, just the way that it happened. I feel for any man who's crying. Maybe that's going too far to say any man, but in any case, separate of that.
Yeah.
Perhaps now the Browns can actually run the offense that they should be running. Perhaps now Kevin Stefanski can run the offense that he wants to run and that his offensive line wants to be run. Perhaps now someone like Deuce Staley can take over the installation of the offense, and you can see the Browns stop with the unforced errors that clearly are a sign of just
but the season is still over.
Teaching of some sort.
We missed something.
I mean, it's confusion. It is mass confusion. The watching the way the Browns played on Sunday, and remember, I've got no dog in this fight, other than the fact that I would like to watch quality ball. But watching the way the Browns played on Sunday up close was so maddening because so much of it was about basic attention to detail and knowing what you're doing. And so perhaps if they go back to what has worked well for them for 3 years, if we go back to seeing some of that under center, those boots, that the run game that we're used to seeing, perhaps if we see some of that, we'll see a more functional and a more well-oiled offense. And that defense finally played the way we've expected this defense to play. You know, Jim Schwartz talked to us at length about not having these guys during training camp. You guys know that he bit my head off when I asked him about building off of last year during the preseason. Yep. And it was very valid. He hadn't seen anybody in the preseason. He hadn't had his entire defense together. And he told us, look, training camp for a coordinator is to figure out what your defensive identity is, who your players are, and what best fits your players. And he said to us on Friday, we're 7 weeks into the season, and I still don't know that because I haven't had all my guys healthy. It was very smart of him to play as much zone as he did. I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, Tyvis. It was smart of him. It felt like He's finally got his guys back. He's finally getting a handle on what he wants to do. If that defense can keep playing well, you don't need as much out of the offense. Just be clean on offense. And the Browns haven't been clean because they're doing who knows what. Now, if they go back to doing what's worked for them for 3 years, maybe that's not a bad thing.
I like this fired up and feisty Aditi. I like this.
No, I'm going to cut Tyvis off.
It was ugly, let me tell you. Ugly football really irritates me, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And guess who I get this week? The Jets and the Patriots.
Oh,
Imagine what kind of mood I'm going to be in next week.
You mentioned something. You tried to sneak this in. You snuck this in. I had to rewind the tape. What you mean by Deuce Staley installing? What was that? Who's installing now? And what is Deuce Staley going to be doing? I need to know what's the tea. What's going on?
You know what? I think Deuce Staley is a great teacher. I think he's somebody who's seen a lot of football, who's done a lot of football, who's had success on a lot of levels, done a lot of football. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? But he's a guy that I feel really strongly about his teaching ability and how he is aligned with Kevin Stefanski on what sort of fits this line, these running backs, and what they should be wanting to do. And look, for the way that the Browns have run things since Kevin Stefanski has been here is that the offensive coordinator, who had been Alex Van Pelt, was in charge of install during the week, and Kevin called the plays on Sunday. And I don't have a problem in any way with the way that Kevin calls the plays. He's openly said that it's the best part of the job. It's what he loves doing. I just think that the offense has not been as crisp or clean or on its details. And a lot of that has to do with the install. So why not try something different?
Is Dorsey installing or Kevin's installing?
Well, the offensive coordinator is the one that is installing.
So that's Dorsey, right? Okay.
That would be Dorsey, under my understanding.
There you go, Tyvis.
You good?
I'm good.
All right.
My bad.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for allowing me to have
like your
this
beard, bro.
Aditi.
But look, let me be clear here, right? Like, this is way above my pay grade. That's just sort of my suggestion.
Yeah.
This is something that I think that sometimes you need to kind of doing the same thing over and over again and not getting a different result is sometimes the definition of insanity.
No, it's the exact
and
definition.
The fact that this team, this many weeks in, is, to use its own phrase, shooting itself in the foot, which it really is. I mean, there's a lot of sloppiness going on. You've got to change something there. And if you're not fully understanding what it is you're supposed to be doing, that's not just about a play call. That's, do you understand on Wednesday what you're doing? Do you understand on Thursday what you're doing? Do you understand what you're doing on Friday? So again, I'm not saying any of this is happening. I'm not saying any of this is even a great idea. It's just my idea.
Okay.
Well, Aditi, I'll tell you, a wise coach once told me that if a player does something on the field, they're either being coached to do it or the coach is allowing it to happen. So either way, they need to figure that situation out. But I want to talk to you about the quarterback situation. We had the question that if both quarterbacks was 100% healthy, DTR and Jameis Winston, which one do you go with? Which one gives this team the best chance to win on Sundays?
But winning is not best for the organization.
I like DTR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like DTR here. I think that you ride with DTR. I love this young man's moxie, his leadership, what he can do with his legs is impressive. Somebody tell him to stop windmilling over guys, stop blocking, stop running into guys, stop hurtling guys.
Yeah,
Somebody. It's funny because Jim Schwartz was actually telling this to us about Joe Burrow, that when he saw Joe Burrow as a rookie, that's exactly what he said to him. You got to stop playing this way. Take care of your body. Somebody tell DTR that. But you know what? Jameis is, I really enjoyed watching him on the sideline. And actually, Jason Lloyd and I were on the phone yesterday, and I told him this. Jameis is a great teammate. Jameis was up and down the bench, encouraging guys, receivers, offensive linemen. He was keeping guys' head in the game. He was constantly on the tablet talking to DTR, even before either of them was in the game, just kind of teaching. He's a wonderful personality. He's a wonderful guy. I think that we know what Jameis is at this point. Necessarily know what DTR is. And we've seen some flashes. So if he can stay healthy, which again is if he will listen to somebody and say, stop windmilling over guys, stop using your body like a battering ram, then let's go see what he can give us. We know that the Browns were really, really high on him a year ago. Andrew Berry told me that he was the 5th highest rated quarterback on their board. They were thrilled to have him. So let's go. Let's see.
Clearly the season's over because even if they'd have to win out to make the playoffs.
Okay, but you know what? You know what I think is interesting? They signed Bailey Zappi. What's the deal with Ryan Tannehill? Is anyone interested in Ryan Tannehill? I mean, going and getting a seasoned veteran who understands the field.
But they have that already.
Who knows how to get rid of the ball. It worked for them last year with Flacco. Mike Vrabel's got a great relationship with Ryan Tannehill. He knows how unbelievably tough he is. I mean, is that something worth kicking the tires on?
Aditi, if they wanted that, why wouldn't they just play Jameis?
I mean, do you think they're exactly the same?
I think Jameis is better.
I'm about to say it right now.
I don't
take Jameis.
I don't know, but I think Jameis at his best was better than Tannehill at his best, in my opinion. But
yeah, but you know what? This is kind of like, okay, we expect Deshaun Watson to be one of the 5 premier stars because that's what he was in the past. Right. It's not necessarily what you are in the past. It's who you are right now. Flacco, for example. Joe Flacco's had a renaissance the last couple of years.
He has. But Tannehill hasn't been good the last couple of years either. You know what? I
like the idea of DTR. I like the veteran that Jameis is in the room. Like, go ahead. Let's see. And go back to running Kevin's offense.
I'm with you. They should run Kevin's offense.
You don't need the empties. You don't need the RPOs. You don't need that inside zone stuff.
100%.
Get back. And Nick Chubb is there. Use him. That line should be healthy, finally. You had 4 out of 5 starters this past week. The way that they will want to block for Nick Chubb and in the offense they're familiar with, all of those are good things.
What was it like being able to talk with Nick this week?
He's just... I told him that I read his Players Tribune piece to my son as a bedtime story.
What did he say?
He's just the best. He's in that quiet way of his, he smiled. He said he appreciated hearing that. Thank you. He's just all ball, he was so ready. He's funny. I said to him, every single teammate is saying that they're hoping that your presence alone makes them play cleaner, that you bring an emotional boost, that you get the fans all fired up and into the game. And I said to him, I'm like, does that add a little pressure? And he's so funny. He's like, well, when you put it that way, I guess a little. But then he said, he's ready. Yeah. And he's so focused. Everything about him is focused. I didn't see him huffing and puffing even once on the sideline. I was watching to see, because football shape is different than being in any sort of regular shape. Thanks. But Kevin Stefanski told us how even at the Greenbrier, he was out running those hills every day. That here at the facility in Berea, 6 a.m., before the sun is up and before Kevin Stefanski's even in the building, Nick Chubb was outside on the practice fields running sprints. The way that guy works, what he gives to everybody. It's just, whatever. He's my favorite player.
He's the best.
He really is.
Thank you, Aditi. Great stuff as always.
That's it. All right, guys. Don't get me in trouble, okay? Please don't get me in trouble. I don't know. I just feel like I'm always getting in trouble for something.
I got to call you off the air because there's more in between the lines and some of that stuff. So,
all right, guys.
We'll talk to you later.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Yep, for sure.
Thanks, Aditi.